Hey y'all, Melissa here at Twin Oaks Family Farm in rural southeast Ohio, USA. I am in the meat bird production barn. We will take a look at the meat birds that are currently in production. There's 427 of them, 29 days old, and I'll give you a little more background on the flock and its progress after we get through the beginning of the video. So this is a Wednesday. It's October 2nd, 2024. So on Wednesday, it's time for a Watch It Later Wednesday video. We're trying to do this every week, taking videos off of my own Watch Later list on the YouTube app, trying to watch them, and then share them with you, what I watched, share a link with you, a link to that video with you, and give you a little bit of feedback on my impression of that video and any thoughts that it triggered. Always curious, if you use the Watch Later feature on your YouTube app, you might keep it private, but if you're willing to share a title off of it in the comments here, it might be something that somebody in our community here at Twin Oaks Farm Poultry is interested in as well. So we're going to do the Watch It Later Wednesday video and feedback, and then I want to show you some on the meat birds. Quick sidetrack before doing the Watch It Later Wednesday specifically. I don't know about y'all, but sometimes the work week is overwhelming for me. I think for my household as well at times, and you just have to keep pushing through it. I know a lot of weeks, like you start out the week, there's so much to do that the list seems so large that on Tuesday I'm like, it's only Tuesday. It's like there's still so much week to get through. There's still so many things to do. And then you get through the week and you get to Thursday and I'm like, Thursday? It's Thursday already. How did it be Thursday already? Like, I still have a lot I want to get done, but then I get to Friday and I'm like, man, I'm calling it a weekend a day early, and then we try to really, at least I do, and I think I can speak on behalf of my household. We try really hard to be intentional about the weekend, about making it a break from the work week, about doing things differently, and trying to incorporate those things that don't make it to the top of the list as a need during the work week, but the things that we want to do, which here it's pretty tame things, like we want to grill 7 pound of beef on the grill, on the smoker grill combo, or we want to take all the surplus eggs, if we have any, and make noodles. This last weekend, and this is cool, I'm going to be showing you this on Saturday, our next Saturday show and tell and share, which will be this coming weekend. So what's that going to make Saturday? Today's the 2nd, so October 6th. We made beef tallow this past weekend. I don't remember if it was Saturday or Sunday, but we had opportunity to make beef tallow. I can't wait to tell y'all about that. Beef tallow is something I've been wanting to try as a cooking fat, and I had just resigned myself to, like, I was gonna have to buy it, but we were making a brisket or something, and we had this trimmings off of it, and I was like, hey, what can we do with that? So I'll get to tell you about that this coming weekend. I'm gotta flip the camera around. I'm just taking in these meat birds, their contentment here in the meat bird pen. We use an indoor system because it's what works for our resources. We're not anti-outdoor livestock management systems, but there are a lot of details. There are a lot of puzzle pieces to put together and make work. And for our resources, this is what works. But look how content they are. Look how content they are. 29 days old. Conventional wisdom will tell you that you need to take meat birds like this out to about 8 or 9 weeks of age before they're ready for processing. We totally disagree with that. And that could depend on variables, but in our system, for sure, meat birds are ready for processing in 6 weeks. These are Cornish rock cross meat chickens, specifically for raising for meat production. If you are raising the birds maybe in a pastured or semi-pastured situation where you're incorporating some grain-based and some foraging, and they're not having access to food 24/7, maybe you do need the few extra weeks to get the birds to finish size. But in our system, where actually they have access to feed 24/7, 6 weeks is definitely sufficient to get them to finish and to have a really wholesome, nutritious meat product at the end of the production cycle. So one of the things that they're so happy about right now is we just, I don't want to say replaced, but added to their bedding. And so they have like brand new fresh pine shavings. They love it. I love it. It makes their living conditions high quality, and that's what we want for our birds. They're fairly social. One of the ways that they love you is pecking at your shoestrings and pant seams. And so, so they're always interacting with us, and that's a sign of good healthy animals. We like to see that. So, okay. So back to Watch It Later Wednesday. Last week on Watch It Later Wednesday, I said, hey, there's a video that I have on my Watch Later list. Haven't watched it yet. Want to watch it. Here's the title of it. Maybe you'll get to watch it. Give me your feedback on it as well. I'm going to try to watch it. Honestly, didn't know if I'd get it watched. Literally just finished getting it watched here today on Wednesday for this episode. So it's on the channel Nick Freitas. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this. I don't have my pen and paper. Y'all know digital age is not a good fit for me. I'm a pen and paper girl. I don't necessarily come from the Facebook era. I come from the notebook era. If you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. So, I'm trying to go off my memory. Nick Freitas, I think, Virginia-based and a state legislator, or at least was at the time that the video I'm telling you about today was uploaded, which was about a year ago. But YouTube channel Nick Freitas, it's spelled, last name is spelled Freitas. That channel itself, I think, has over 1 million subscribers. The video that we're talking about, they titled it Homesteading with Joel Salatin. Now, my opinion, that's part of the video, but it's a segue into a whole realm of topics that Nick and the panel on the video really do a great job discussing, looking at from different angles, talking about and throwing ideas around. I think it's worthwhile to watch. So the video on that channel, Homesteading with Joel Salatin, uploaded about a year ago, has 185,000 views, 2.5 hours long, suitable for playing while you're driving out the road. I'm gonna say this because it's a passion of ours. It's an awareness promotion of ours. Don't use your phone while you're driving. If you want to listen to it, get the thing rolling while you're sitting still, while your vehicle is in park, you're not moving. Get the thing rolling, let it roll. But it is suitable, or if you have a passenger in the vehicle that can run the device. But or if you're at home working at something and you're able to have enough quiet around you that you can hear the device that you're playing the video on. But my point is, it's suitable for listening to. You don't necessarily have to be eyes on. You might want to see parts of it, but you can listen to it and get a good handle on what's being said and good feel for what they're sharing. Okay, but part of the video is interview footage of Nick and Joel Salatin. Gives great background on Joel Salatin, the person, on Polyface Farms, extension of Joel Salatin as a farm man, as a businessman. So really like that part of it. And if you hang on to the end of the video, or watch till or forward to the end of the video, I believe there is a link that you can go from there, from Nick's video, Homesteading with Joel Salatin, to his entire interview with Joel Salatin. But if you stay on the video with Nick and the panel, it goes into a lot of different topics, but very, very interesting. And in fact, the end of the video is very interesting and gives very proactive steps that you can actually take right from that video and think about incorporating into your life if you're interested in, especially if you're interested in producing more of your own food, sourcing your food at home, close to home, etc. So you can think about that. Also gives great resources for, so little name dropping, but gives great resources for names of people and their social media branches, the ways you can reach them, the ways you can get information from them, from their experiences. Gives a lot of great names of folks that have shared information on how to do a lot of practical skills, like, raise small livestock, process it into your own protein, start seeds for your own garden, what to plant for what climate zone you're in, things along this nature that are helpful if you're wanting to really dive into how can I make more of my own food? How can I be more self-sufficient? When it boils down to it, a lot of those skills are really countercultural. Even an activity like this seems really countercultural. My household is a family of 5. Right at the moment, we're taking care of about 485 chickens. That's pretty countercultural. Honestly, of all the people I know, family, friends, enemies, acquaintances included, everybody I personally know, I probably only know one person that has more chickens than I do, and she's a commercial egg producer. Okay, so of all the regular folks we know that aren't in even small commercial agriculture, I don't know anybody else that at any given time throughout the year has 500 chickens on their property. So that's kind of countercultural. We homeschooled our sons. Very countercultural. We're actually in our final year of homeschool life as far as the parents directly responsible for the homeschool educational program. I have a high school senior, and that's our youngest son. Homeschool's been very rewarding for our family. It's been the biggest blessing. We worked like blue blazes at it. It was hard. It required sacrifice. It wasn't easy. It was never easy. It was like a job. It was like a career. For me, it's what I spent the bulk of my adult life doing, was coordinating, organizing, carrying out home education for my sons. I guess the point here I'm making is whatever you want to do that seems not mainstream, it isn't going to be easy. There's going to be hard parts to it. It's going to be like taking on a new job. It's going to require digging in. It's going to require learning, being open to realizing we have a lot to learn. But if we invest in it, it's going to be productive and it's going to be rewarding. Okay, so countercultural. And I'm not saying anti-cultural. We embrace that. We need a sense of community. We need a sense of household, that supporting each other toward productive ends is a positive thing. So not saying in terms of being anti to culture in general, but definitely, mainstream culture is like instant gratification, make it easy, a little bit of entitlement. Like, countercultural to us isn't that. If you're willing to work for it, you bring a sense of work ethic to it, you want to invest some sweat equity in it, and you want to bring about something productive and creative and positive, that's a countercultural thing in a lot of instances. So anyway, I will put the link for Homesteading with Joel Salatin on the Nick Freitas channel. That's the only video I'm going to mention today. I still have about 200 videos on my watch later list. What do y'all have on your watch later list? If you want to share one with us in the comments here, please do. But if you can break that video up into some chunks of time, or you have a time when you can listen, for a couple hours, it is worthwhile to listen to if you are interested in, what is going on with the American food system, what is up with the processed foods, what's it like for somebody like Joel Salatin, who, really brought a passion to agriculture and wanted to do something positive and productive with that. And then what are some real real-time, real-life tips that you can use for implementing some steps to produce more of your own food, and what are some resources you can turn to online, in social media, in real life even, for helping to actually carry out some of these ambitions and dreams of producing more of your own food. So if you're interested in it, if it sounds interesting to you, I hope that you'll check it out. It was the Nick Freitas channel, Homesteading with Joel Salatin video, and there's the host, Nick, and a panel, and I found it very, very interesting. So kind of quick wrap up on this flock. I want to give you some updates on them. So we said 29 days old, okay? We have about 10 more days of production where they'll be on full feed, okay? And then about 12 to 18 hours before meat birds go to processing, even if you're processing them yourself, even if they're pasture raised, regardless, across the board, about 12 to 18 hours before birds go to processing, they need to be taken off of feed. So we do a full feed withdrawal here in that time frame, 12 to 18 hours before processing. So 10 days of them still being on the feed program, which for them is feed 24/7. Then a day of feed withdrawal, basically, and then we will load them into these transport crates, and we will take them to, we actually do go to a USDA inspected processor with our poultry. So that's where the flock is at now. This is a straight run flock. That means we have roosters and we have hens. This is a great example of a rooster. And you can see, you know, these birds are kind of large. They're going to grow a lot in these last 10 days though. Kind of large, a little bit awkward when they're up, but still agile, still very capable of moving around. There are, of course, instances where, you know, you might have a few individuals that aren't as strong or don't thrive, but that's part of managing livestock. That's part of managing life. We all have moments where we don't thrive too, you know, and you try to manage through these things the best that you can. So this is production livestock, and again, whether they're pasture raised or whether they're in a system like this, anytime you have production livestock, something we do have to understand is that the end is terminal, and that means that those animals are going to butchering in order to be processed into wholesome and delicious, nutritious food. So it is important how we raise them. It is important the sweat equity and the management practices and the tender loving care that we put into the process ahead of time. So we showed you right here, this is a nice rooster. Actually, this one here is a hen. Actually, this trio here are hens. So that's, you know, that's what it's like in a straight run flock. You have hens and you have roosters. For these birds, it's a little bit inconsequential, hen, rooster, whatever, because they aren't kept in production long enough to get to breeding age. They are a hybrid Cornish Rock Cross. They're a hybrid that is specifically for meat production. There's a fourth little hen, just sat down with them, but they love fresh bedding. They'll peck through it, they'll dust bathe in it, they'll kind of like forage through it even, and you'd be surprised, you know, it's still livestock, even though it's indoors. There's still, you know, like flies and little bugs, and they'll still pick through and forage for some of those things. So what we expect our birds to eat in the course of production is 10 pounds on average per bird of their feed, which is a grain-based feed, and it's in a crumble. We call it a crumble texture. Let me show you what that looks like. So it makes it very palatable and edible for them. It is grain-based. We have big shade trees above our building, and sometimes we have things fall from the trees onto the roof, and that's what we just heard right there. But as I said, the observation is that to go from start to finish, these Cornish Rock Cross meat chickens that we raise in our system, they have access to feed around the clock. They typically eat about 10 pounds per bird on average. So like a flock of say 400, we would buy 80 50-pound bags of feed, and they'll consume all of that in 6 weeks. So I had said earlier, that's our experience. Conventional wisdom, if you research, like how long does it take to finish meat birds, if you research that online, there's a dust bather. If you research that online, you're going to find, like you hear in the Nick Freitas video, like 9 weeks is the good spot. In some production systems it is. But if you raise them with access to feed all the time, that actually contracts that production cycle, and you really can have meat birds ready for processing in about 6 weeks. So, and there is some merit to actually a shorter production schedule actually keeps the meat texture more tender and tastier and moister even when you prepare it, which that can also be impacted by preparation methods. But overall, it's just nice to have the opportunity to show people that even in a confinement system with raising poultry, which typically gets a really bad rap, we can really elevate the management practices to a point where the birds do have excellent quality of life. And that's what we strive for here. We're just a household of 5. We're just a small, independent, family-run poultry operation. And this year we had scheduled 1,650 Cornish rock cross meat chickens. We're maintaining about 60 egg production chickens. And like the confinement system, the way we raise our meat birds, I think it does get bad rap, bad publicity from people, but we really appreciate the opportunity to use a platform like we have here on the YouTube, and as I said, show you, if we prioritize quality of life, yes, this is different than putting them out on pasture for part of their production cycle, but we can still give them good quality of life all the days that we have them in production from start to finish. So, one of the major things that you need to prioritize is ventilation and airflow and floor quality. And those are things that we have at the top of the list. This building was built for, was designed for, and in addition to those, stocking density. So, so if you see the different ways to raise chickens, if you have the resources to do like the chicken tractors or the semi-pasture raising them, that's a great system. If you don't, it's not a deal breaker. You can still use management practices, scale to the size flock you want. You can still utilize an indoor system, but prioritize stocking density, make it appropriate number of birds to the space you have, prioritize floor quality. In other words, it's going to take a lot of fresh bedding probably to get your birds from start to finish. Prioritize ventilation and airflow. Our building's closed up, but we can open it up on all sides pretty much every day for them. So those things for sure, the ventilation, airflow, floor quality, and stocking density. You got to prioritize to elevate the quality of life when you're raising them in a confinement system. So like, for example, to give you an example to wrap that up on, if we overloaded this building with more birds than the floor space could handle, it would be a detriment to the birds. So that's a place where we have to operate within the limits. So that's one example of that. But hey, we appreciate y'all joining us. If you stuck around to see the birds and hear about them, thanks. We hope it inspires you to consider what is in the food that we're all consuming, what's in the food that we have access to. If that's a concern for you, there are ways to raise your own food. If it's a concern for you and you can't raise your own food, we highly encourage you, go to some farmers markets, seek out farmers, ranchers, and producers where you live. Try to eat real food, try to source it as close to home as possible, and please support local farmers wherever local is for you. Thanks so much for joining us at Twin Oaks Farm Poultry here on Twin Oaks Family Farm. And if you want to press the join button and scroll through that info, consider joining with a channel membership. We appreciate all y'all, and we hope that you're doing great.